So as you say, interdisciplinary, it is not a matter of going besides the disciplines, but breaking them. My problem has always been to escape the division between disciplines, because what interests me is the question of distribution of territories, which is always a way of deciding who is qualified to speak about what. The apportionment of disciplines refers to more fundamental apportionment that separates those regarded as qualified to think from those regarded as unqualified. Those who do the science and those who are regarded as its object. I began by moving outside of the boundaries of the disciplines of philosophy because the questions I was concerned with revolved around the Marxist conception of ideology, the issue of why people found themselves in a particular place and what they could or could not think in that place.
Well, I try to make a connection. Oh, I think I have already commented, on what is in front in front of us, meaning that basically the very separation between disciplinary fields, in fact rests on a more fundamental, separation between those who are the subjects of science and those who are the objects of science, and separation between those who know and those who don't know. And it is, of course, it is also concerned with what was one of my starting point, or from a critical point of view. So the idea of ideology, so this kind of circle of the theory of ideology, saying that, well, people are necessarily, mistaken because they are at that place, and at the same time, of course, that it is their mistakes or their illusion, that keeps them in that place.
This is a chamber opera, The Judge's Wife, which I have composed. It was performed in 2017 in Helsinki. The opera is based on TV script written by Carol Churchill at the time of the IRA terrorist attacks in 1972. The text deals with the power structures of social classes and encourages a reader to think about the justification and logic of terrorism and, on the other hand, the institutional violence. How a terrorist will justify his or her violent act. How a state will justify its own violent machinery. The opera was directed by Teemu Mäki. While composing The Judge's Wife, I was mainly focusing to one specific personal question. When could I react so powerfully that I would take part in a revolutionary act? So I was imagining or visualizing the difference between an ordinary demonstration or a manifestation and an inevitable revolution that can't be stopped before either something violent happens or some sort of social change will occur.
You must be punished according to your intention.
I have never participated to a terrorist or revolutionary act, but the closest example that I can think happened in 2004 when I got my first child. The situation forced me to be socially active. Through that process, it is maybe possible to reflect one kind of subjective necessity that triggers the emancipatory power to demonstrate. During the year 2004, the Social Insurance Institution of Finland, Kela, changed its practices, which meant also that the guidelines how the maternity grant was calculated changed. My friend got a child at the beginning of the year and she got a decent grant. But when I gave birth at December, my grant was much lower. Similar examples during the year indicated that the process of reforming the Finnish social security system led to unfair and unequal situations. I was taking part to the process to revise these problems as a board member of Finnish Composers Society. Personally, in my case, the problem was mainly the complicated income formation of a freelance composer. I felt that there were two totally different types of knowledge: the legal terminology of the situation and then private information of a concrete amount of money. To figure out the exact problem, you need to have access to the specific private cases. When I was trying to find out my understanding about the issue, I actually phoned to Kela to ask information with my own data. Somehow we trusted that in Finnish system we basically should have customary right for all. We didn't need to cross the border to a revolutionary or a terrorist act. The words and negotiation were enough. In the documentary film Do You Remember Revolution by Loredana Bianconi, there are 4 former Italian female terrorists trying to explain how they crossed the border to military action. They all described that it was a conscious step. That documentary film replies to many of my questions. In art, especially in fiction, you can cross these borders, even in isolation at home. In the opera, the storyline goes like this. A terrorist has been caught. The judge passes him too heavy sentence, to which people react. The judge arrives home and settles down for a dinner with his wife and her sister. They have a heated conversation when the phone rings. The brother of the convicted terrorist decides to revenge. The judge dies. In the last act, the judge's wife explains that this was a wish of the judge. He had found himself on the wrong side.
Bilirler. Yani eğer 3 kişi bir yerde toplandınız, Türkiye'deki yalancı mahkemeler ya da özel mahkemeler sizi terörist ilan edebilir.
I was just when I reached I passing the police van to reach the Taksim Square, and then I reach, and then actually my body react, and it means
Intuition.
because in democracy or there is some rule. In casino there is some rule, and the case always win because they put the rule. And when I was there, I put the rule. It means I decided to who will win or who is not. This is okay. I'm told after the standing man, not there. But it works. What was happened? I'm stand still there 8 hours. Let me try again, walking in the space and try to stop together at the same time. Because if who is the first stopper, the police pick that. Okay? This is game.
Bugünden beri burada bekliyorsunuz. Nedir amacınız? Bir öğrenebilir miyiz? Sessiz bir direniş mi yapıyorsunuz burada? İsminizi öğrenebilir miyiz? Efendim merhaba, buradaki amacınız nedir? Şu an bir eylem var galiba, sessiz eylem. Bir şeyler konuşmayacak mısınız?
Crossing the borders, it doesn't necessarily mean something violent, illegal, or aesthetically shocking. Standing still, without responding, with the private body in a public space, practicing equality, and by that, making of this practice a source of customary right, can be enough. The boundaries of art are displacing over and over again. What is, in fact, an aesthetical experience as a practice of equality?